Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be reading a bunch of fantasy slash romance books. These books are very popular, very hyped, and I honestly loved all the books that I read in this video, so I'm excited to share my thoughts and feelings about these books. I feel like there's a lot of excessive noise at the moment, so I'm going to be using my microphone. But the first book that I'm going to be reading is Fourth Wind by Rebecca Yarros. Everyone and their mother probably has heard of this book. It is all over TikTok. I've heard about this book everywhere, and people have a lot of really good things to say about it. Obviously, there are some people who don't really like the book, but when it comes to the books that I like reading books that based on my enjoyment of them rather than like critically thinking about the book, because I have no brain cells and I read to, be immersed in the world and not have to think about anything. From what I've heard about Fourth Wind, it's basically about this girl. There's dragon. There's this enemies to lover situation where the guy's like, I'm gonna kill you, but he just never ends up killing her. And in the end, I think he ends up protecting her. I don't know. That's just what I've heard. I feel like in some sort of way, I have been getting like FOMO because of Fourth Wind. It's just very, very hyped, and a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people love it. So I want to know what exactly they're talking about. And I've been wanting to read this book for a really long time, but just haven't actually gone around to reading it because I wanted to make a video about it. So I'm really excited to read it, and hopefully it lives up to my expectations. The map. I don't really know how I feel about maps because honestly, I never really refer to them when I read books. I see them once and then I never see them again. Okay, so to give a better introduction to what Fourth Wind is about, it's about our main girl, Violet, who is forced by her mother to become a dragon rider, and her mother is a general, so she's basically a household name in this area. But to become a dragon rider, you have to pass a series of tests, and then you have to be chosen by a dragon to get bonded with. And basically, Violet is in school and she's learning different elements of how to become a dragon rider. Tell me why this little man called Dane is like, I want to protect Violet. I want to do everything to help her. Yet, whenever she gets hurt, what are you doing? You're just standing there. I really dislike it in books when men are like, I want to defend this girl, I want to help protect her, but in doing so you're undermining their value and their abilities to defend themselves, which is why in this situation I would stand 𝐸, because at least he's like, you need to defend yourself, and he's teaching her how to defend herself, and he also hates her. Like, Dane loves her. I don't know, they're best friends. But 𝐸 is the one who's actually willing to, teach her how to protect herself. You cannot tell me that this book is not Divergent, just set in a fantasy world. The factions, the different tests, and like, I guess ranking, the whole 𝐸 and Violet situation, it's giving me very much Divergent vibe. I just hope a little bit better because Divergent did not end the best. So far, I am really enjoying Fourth Wind. I am super happy that it jumped straight into the plot, because something that pisses me off about fantasy books is that some of them will literally do like world building for like the first half of the story and won't get into the plot until the second half. And fantasy books like that, sometimes they're okay, sometimes they do end up being good. But overall, if you're just giving me a lot of information, like I want the plot and the characters before I want the world building. The whole entire time I have been like, oh, this guy's name is 𝐸, which is why I pronounce it as 𝐸. And I was like, oh, the name 𝐸 is a little bit hard to pronounce. Like, why is his name 𝐸? And then it isn't until like 50% of the book that I realized his name is actually 𝐦𝐮, which makes so much more sense, and I don't know how I misread it this whole entire time. I finished reading Fourth Wind. There's also construction going in front of my house. Like, I'm just never escaping this. There are dogs on the other side that keep yapping and just barking every single day. And then my other neighbor is an opera singer, and he likes playing piano and just singing. And now I have construction in front of my house. There's just a lot of noise, and unfortunately I feel like if I use my camera it's gonna pick up on everything. But I finished Fourth Wind and I really enjoyed it. I do think that in the beginning of the book it had a little lull. Like, I was a little bit bored in the beginning, even though it kind of got straight into the plot. I wanted it to pick up a little bit more, but when we got like 40% into it, I think it got a little bit more juicy and interesting. I feel like 𝐸𝐮 and Violet remind me of Valak and Helena from the study study series. Just something about them, something about the way that their romance is written just gives me the same vibe. To be honest, with the romance, I kind of wanted more tension between them. Like, they have this whole enemies to lovers thing, but there's like an instant attraction, and I really dislike that when it comes to romance. Like, I want the slow development of, you know, you hate them and then you realize that they're different from what you expected them to be, and then you have that slow development of their relationship, and then the person becomes attracted to them. Because I feel like if they're attracted to them straight away, I mean, sometimes it works, but I just feel like I wanted a little bit more, I guess, development. And I don't know, it was just like the end of the book, just the way that the romance was written, I was a little bit like, I don't know, something about the writing kind of just puts me off. Like, I don't like it when the romance is written in that specific way. But overall, Fourth Wing is just like a really fun book. It's very reminiscent of 2016 fantasy books, and it's just really fun. We go on like a whole adventure. There are dragons. Dane, I will say though, I've never like met a more frustrating man in my life than Dane. Every single time he talks in this book, I wanted to punch his face, because he's I do not know how Violet could even stand him, because I was like, what is this guy insane? And he was just so annoying that every single time he talked, I was like, please just stop talking. The next book that I'm going to be reading is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Both of their names are Rebecca, and I feel like that is such an interesting thing. I'm really excited to read Divine Rivals. From my understanding, it's about letters that are being sent, and they're like academic rivals or something like that. I heard that it's really, really good. I mean, I've heard that all the books in this video is really, really good, but I love it when books are hyped because it just makes me more excited to read it. Again, like Fourth Wing, I hope it lives up to my expectations, but we'll see. So, what exactly is Divine Rivals about? Divine Rivals centers around Iris, which, can I just say, both of their names are flower names. She sends letters to her brother, which she slips underneath a wardrobe, and these letters end up in the hands of Roman, who is her rival in her newspaper like company agency thing. He knows that it's her, she doesn't know that it's him, and he starts writing back anonymously, and they form a connection through letters. So I'm up to part 2 of Divine Rivals, and so far I'm really enjoying Divine Rivals. I just like how Rebecca Ross writes and just how she explains the world building and everything. I like how it's not overly emphasized, like the world building, because it's kind of like described as the plot continues, and it's mainly focused on the characters and like their story. I am a little bit confused about the whole idea of gods and goddesses and how, you know, that impacts, I guess, their world. Like, I don't really understand that yet, but hopefully as the story continues it will make sense in my mind. I'm hoping that you can't hear the construction out of my house, but if you can, that's what the sounds is. But I read 52% of Divine Rivals, and so far I feel like now I'm getting bored. I don't really know what it is about the books that I'm reading in this video. I think all of them are super enjoyable, but I just have no connection to the books, and because of that I feel like there's no spark, you know, like there's no spark where I would give it 5 stars. Like, I'm excited to read it, I'm enjoying it while I'm reading it, but so far to me it's like just an okay book, and that makes me really, really sad because I want to give these books 5 stars. And I don't know if it's because of me, because of my reading, or what exactly is it. I finished reading Divine Rivals, which I overall really enjoyed. I think once I reached the romance part, which is where I kind of thought it got a little bit juicier. I do think that the romance was a little bit rushed, but then again, it's war, there's a lot of tension, everything is rushed within war, so it kind of makes sense. But I do wish that the relationship between Roman and Iris was a little bit more fleshed out, because I did feel like it was a little bit too quick, but at the same time I did really enjoy reading it. And I think that the ending, I already know that book 2 is gonna be filled with so much angst, and I'm so ready to read it. Like, I know, I can already feel it, and I love when books have that certain type of angst. Like, it's just my favorite thing to read. I started reading this book, longest title ever, but I started reading The Serpent and the Winds of Night literally only 2% into the book, and so far I'm actually, the prologue has me hooked already, so hopefully this book would just be consistently good, because I feel like so far I've enjoyed all the books that I read in this video, but I haven't loved it that much. The prologue already just got me caught. I want to see how many pages this book has, because I want to see how much I can possibly read today, because I want to read a lot. Oh, 532 pages is not bad. I thought it was going to be a lot longer. Should I just not do anything today and just read this book? This is about a human girl named 𝐬𝐬𝐬 who gets taken in by the vampire king. He adopts her and he raises her. She takes part in the 𝐜𝐨𝐧𝐭, which is a legendary tournament, and she has to pass a bunch of trials so that she gets a wish from the goddess of death, 𝐚𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐻. Because she's human, she's easily underestimated and thought of as weak, and she's forced to make alliances with other vampires in order to win the 𝐜𝐨𝐧𝐭. I really don't know what happens in this book, and I still haven't read that much, but I swear if her father ends up being the love interest, no, just no. I really hope he isn't. Her father is not her love interest, which is great. I just feel like you never know which direction a book is going to turn, but I really love the father and daughter relationship that they have, especially because she is his adopted daughter and, you know, he's a vampire and everything, and it's just so cute, and I cannot wait to read, I guess, the development of their relationship from when she was like a child to now. I finished this book. I literally read it in 2 days, which I feel like is really quick to finish reading a book, and I think like this whole entire video I've been reading the books very quickly. I don't know if it's because they are just really good and fun to read or what, but I absolutely love this book. It was so good. It was literally everything that I wanted in like a fantasy book. I don't know if it's because it's a vampire book as well. Like, am I into vampire books? Because so far all of the vampire books that I've read this year are books that I've really enjoyed and that I like highly rated. So I don't really know what it is about this book, but basically we have different trials, and I like how the book is sectioned into the parts of the different trials, so it feels like you're reading everything a lot faster, and the romance was so good. Every single time, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but I think his name is pronounced Rain, but every single time he appeared on the page, I literally felt like I giggled, because just his charisma was just so, it was so fun to read. And I liked how their romance was actually like an enemies to friends to lovers kind of situation, and that they actually had like a slow development of the relationship. Like, it wasn't fast attraction, if that makes sense. Like, they weren't instantly attracted to each other. I feel like as they slowly like learned more about each other, that's when they both started liking each other, which I love. I love that in romance, and that was what I wanted from the other books that I read in this video. The ending as well, oh my god, the ending, I just don't know what to think. I'm gonna read the second book literally straight after I finish this video, and I think that this book is a duology, which I'm so happy about, because I don't want to read like a whole series to figure out what's going on with this series. It was really good, and I'm so glad I liked it. Anyways, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys in another one. Bye!